Just a quick question. How many of you are familiar with the concept of SIG? What is a SIG and the operating model? I see many no's and many yes as well, so I will try to describe it very quickly. SIG, it is an acronym for a special interest group. There are many of them in COTHI. Our special theme, as you could imagine, relates to technologies. Of course, within the sectors of tourism, hospitality, and events. The purpose of SIGs is basically, if I can be very simplistic, to bring people together that they share similar research interests, to exchange knowledge, ideas, and to design and implement in some way common activities that they can help people progress in their professional career in the topic, contribute to the community, and of course advance our knowledge in the field and the outcomes that we can produce. Our SIG, unfortunately, last year, 2020, has not been very active due to COVID and I would say my commitments with the conference and all the stuff going on. Our major activity last year has been mainly focused on a book that it has been designed and it's still going on. The submission deadline for the book, it was December last year. We managed to get an extension to submit it in March 2021. And the topic of the book was innovation technologies in the wine tourism sector. We have quite a few chapters that we are reviewing and they are in different stages of review process. If anyone would like to contribute something, you have 2 weeks to do it, honestly, because as I said, we will need to submit it in March. So we will need chapters before to review them, give feedback, and hopefully, if accepted, include them in the book as well. Now, if I can start, and I will try to share my PowerPoint. I guess you can now see my PowerPoint. The SIG on technologies is actually co-chaired between me and Ian Yeoman in New Zealand. Unfortunately, Ian could not be here with us today, but I will keep him updated, and of course, feel free to contact him personally as well whenever you feel like. Just to give a background on technologies, and I would imagine the reason that you are here is because all of you are interested, you have done research, or you would like to do research on technologies, isn't it? I think because of COVID, the topic of technologies has become even more important. I mean, technologies, we always say it's the lifeblood of the industry, and it is. But because of COVID, the importance of technologies for the survival of the industry, the response of the industry to the crisis, to the next normal, has become even more important. So I think we are in some way privileged to be willing to contribute to that field, because COVID has actually given us much more food for thought, or more context in terms of where we can do research. And if I will try to summarize it, and of course I cannot summarize everything, but I just wanted to make some bullet points that I thought they are quite important to be said in terms of what the really broad areas of research related to COVID and technologies in tourism might relate to. I think one important issue, it has to do with how the technologies have helped companies during the COVID to accelerate innovation. Now, of course, innovation doesn't have to be breakthrough. It can be just the adoption of an existing technology by a company to virtualize services, to create touchless transactions, whatever. So probably you have seen papers already published or discussions online that there is a lot of going on in terms of how the take-up of technologies has increased a lot. It has helped companies to innovate, as I said, to survive or get ready for the next normal, and how the technologies are changing in general, how the industry is operating. To a great extent, to be honest, I don't think new technologies in terms of, the development of a new tool or a development of a new kind of use of technology has really been developed. Yeah, of course, there is exceptions we have seen, and technologies always, evolve, but the major impact has been, as I said, in the increased adoption of technologies rather than the development of the new technologies. Another field of research that I think it has become important, and I would expect a lot of research to be conducted around it, it has to do in terms of how the technologies can save the tourism industry to survive and compete in the next normal. I use the word save in inverted commas because, technologies is not a panacea, as you can imagine, but they can definitely help companies to go through this crisis. And there are many issues here that you can talk about or you can do research. It might relate to how technologies support touchless economy, crisis or health management, contact tracing applications, health checks, digital passports, you name it, or the virtualization of experiences and the digitization of value chains. Again, I would say nothing new here. I mean, we have been talking about these technology issues even before COVID. But what has happened, as I said, COVID has actually magnified and accelerated the adoption and the impact and the need of these technologies in our sector. Another field of research, which I think it should become important in terms of a topic of a study, it relates to how the importance and the use of technologies during COVID have impacted or had a result in what I call the digital or economic divide in our industry. From my understanding, the companies that they were the first to use technologies, respond, and hopefully, lead during this crisis were the ones that they were already digital ready. They were big, they had the budget, and so on, which means that the pre-existing economic divide between big and technology ready and resource rich companies with the small, not technology ready companies with no know-how has increased more because of the pandemic. Now, what the impact of that will be in the structure of the economy, in competition, in terms of whether startups have been reduced during COVID or increased, or whether companies are being overtaken by others, that's a huge topic of discussion. So if you go to portals like Skift, for example, you will see a lot of mergers and acquisitions. You will see startup companies or even well-established companies like TripAdvisor and Airbnb rethinking about their business model, selling off different spin-offs and business models that they had, or buying others that they cannot survive. So there is a lot of going on in this area, which, to be honest, I haven't seen any research study yet. But I think it is a topic that it's worthwhile investigating. And of course, another huge area of research relates to what is the next normal and what is the role of technologies in tourism for defining, creating, influencing this next normal in terms of how demand behaves, expectations, needs, use of technologies, amount of travel, way of booking, you name it, but also how the suppliers operate internally in terms of business operations within their borders, isn't it? But also externally in terms of forming partnerships, becoming parts of ecosystems, staying more local instead of going global, you name it. So to my understanding, I think this, as I said before, are the key topics that I see that there is a need to do research, or it's worthwhile to do research. Of course, they are not the only ones. I'm happy to hear your opinion or your contributions in terms of what do you see from your readings or from your research that other areas of research might exist, or it might be worthwhile to look at. Feel free to write on the chat or, you know, unmute yourself, share your thoughts.
Hi, Marianna, can you hear me?
Yes.
That's Aaron. I guess the points you've raised are broad and important. I think what I'm also now getting a sense, having reviewed and also written papers, is the need for maybe some form of professional development among some of the technology research methods going beyond the NVivo and the SPSS to potentially how we analyze, for example, a YouTube video. What are the ways to actually get our hands onto some of the wider big data that is accessible to many of us who now do not have the research funds to go and buy this big data, which is sometimes awfully expensive. So some of those forward development may create new, I guess, collaborative spaces within the SIG, and I think that could be quite valuable, particularly for people interested but not yet researching in technology.
Yes, yeah, that's a very good point, actually, yes. And to add to this, what I would say is that apart from the fact that technologies are giving us new tools to do research, I mean, think about, you know, neuroscience or big data, machine learning, whatever. The other topic that I think, again, I don't know how important it is to do research, but I see it as an observation. Because people became more familiar and they have been using Zoom and Skype and all these technologies for various purposes, and because of the still social distancing rules and constraints of travel, I think it has become important for everyone, irrespective if you specialize on technologies or tourism or not, to be able and to know how to use these technologies to continue your possibility to conduct research. So you cannot travel to, I don't know, Singapore or to the city next to you to do an interview, but you can use the Zoom because you have been using the Zoom. The industry is already using the Zoom. Everybody's familiar, expert, whatever, they feel comfortable. So why not doing it? Yeah. So I think in general, people would also need to try to think creatively how to use the technologies into their research methodologies as well. Apart from what Aaron said before, that yes, there is a huge field of research in terms of, what are these new technology tools and methodologies that, they can help our research area in general to advance, isn't it? To investigate new topics or to see existing things from different perspectives and different angles. So yeah, thanks for this comment, Aaron. Actually, what I'm doing is I'm adding what you report here in my supermarket list, and what I can do later on is to email you that with the discussions that we are having. Anything else?
Thank you, Marianna. That sounds great. Just adding my 2 cents with Aaron's point there. This last year, I had a number of research students, and being in Melbourne and lockdown, wasn't able to take them out to sites where we would usually be collecting data through surveys. So had to quite quickly think up some, new ways to develop projects that they could do, and used there's a number of like open access tools like FacePager, allowing us to, download lots of social media data. And yeah, just thought it would be great to have almost like a list of resources that we can use beyond NVivo and SPSS with these types of tools, because I know there's so many out there, and then some of them are really good, some of them are not so useful, some of them have subscriptions. Yeah, just getting a good overview of all those.
And this can also be another field of research, yes. Of course, how the technologies have been used, what was their impact and the role for education pedagogies or virtual internships or back of the house tours or field trips during the COVID, and what is the future in terms of tourism education and technologies, in terms of curriculum development, I don't know, instruction or whatever. So yeah, very valid point. And thinking about this on the tourism supplier point of view, what it appears to me that, when I discuss to industry and everybody says is that we need more digital skills. We need our employees to be digitally ready, to use more data analytics, to do remote working, to do whatever. And they all say that, technologies now is our reality. We even have to become media companies, creating content and selling content online. So digital skills or business models, I would say, it could be another field of research that somebody could look at. Anybody else?
Hi, Marianna, Ming here. Oh, can you hear me?
Hello, Ming.
Yeah, hi. Let me turn on my video probably again. Yeah, hi. So I just have a few thoughts. Just following on Aaron's point, I thought that whether SIG will be able to organize some kind of workshops, on the methodological part of doing like bigger data, online research, technology related research. Like, for example, how to analyze YouTube videos, how to analyze the image. I think that would be pretty helpful for people to learn those technical skills. Yeah, that's my thought on that. So whether that will be a possibility to do so. Yeah,
good point. I have another slide in terms of what activities we can organize and could be a volunteer, because as you imagine, I cannot do everything. We need people to lead things, but yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think that's the only point I want to raise. Yeah, thanks, Marianna. Yeah.
Any other idea or suggestion in terms of areas of, I don't know, research or involvement with technologies and tourism?
I'll jump in if no one else wants to. I didn't realize we could we could turn on our videos, but can everyone see me now? Hi.
It's really nice to see faces. I think I have become an avatar these days. Anyway.
I know, it must feel so strange. Another research area I've just started to look at that I'm finding really interesting is webcam travel and the adoption during the lockdowns as well. I know there was a paper published in Annals that looked at it, and since then I've been doing a bit of a case study with Phillip Island Nature Parks, which is a nature-based tourism attraction here in Victoria. And I'm not sure if anyone watched it, but they did a nightly live stream during the lockdown that got global publicity all over the world. So yeah, did a survey with them and looking at how the viewership and the interactive model that they used, which was quite innovative, because it wasn't just a unmanned webcam, but rather they had hosts that were presenting the penguin parade as they came in, and then people could ask questions. So we downloaded all of the social media data and then did a survey to follow up with some of the viewers, and looking at whether it then increased their want to visit the destination in person. So that virtualization of experiences is something, yeah, I'm really quite interested in.
Yeah, nice. I will add this into my list. Something about design thinking or experience design. Interesting that nobody has mentioned anything about Industry 4.0 AI machine learning. Aaron, where are you?
I'm here. I'm trying to turn on my video there. Yeah, it's
Keep it for yourself.
no, I mean, it's just a bit strange because one of the things about machine learning, and I had a revise and resubmit from reviewers who suddenly mentioned Society 5.0, which is a very Japanese term on looking at how technology becomes the heartbeat of everyday life. So from things like your vacuum cleaner at home and so on. And one of the things that they delved into was the notion of technology and ethics, which I thought was quite interesting, because often we write ethics as a one point in time application, but the unfolding world of ethics, the grayness behind what we consume and research on social media or other forms of postings. I'm now looking at a TikTok data, and I'm like, how much gray area is there amidst the background of what's happening in the geopolitical spaces becomes quite interesting. So yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy to also share some resources. We've got like an SIG page. My co-authors and I just got a paper published on technology and neuroscience and ethics, which was a project that we did. Yeah, so it was certainly one that we thought quite hard about, because we are probing into people's minds in tourism, but just how much privacy and it's a very gray area.
Yeah. No, very good point. And all this, mobile tracing apps, digital passports, they have accelerated and increased the issues in terms of, you say, of ethics, privacy, and I will add human rights as well, So yeah, good point. Anyone else before I move on? Any topic that you see it's quite interesting or emerging? So as you see, I have updated that list. I have actually put ethics, privacy with big letters, because yes, to my perspective, I'm really a strong advocate that these issues, they need to be discussed and researched and addressed by all involved parties, from technology providers to policymakers and, I don't know, organizations, because we are all human beings. I mean, technologies, they need to support us, they should not overtake us. So I think, yeah, that's a good list, as I said, and I think we should feel privileged that we do research, or we have an understanding, or we read things about that field, because COVID has actually increased our importance, or the need for people to be capable to navigate their way around these topics. So we should have become more important in some way. Now, in terms of SIG activities, I made a supermarket list of activities that usually SIGs do, and what we have done in the past, and what hopefully I would like to see in the future. We have done previously a special issue. We can target any journal. There is no problem which journal we target. I just put here JHTM because I'm the chief editor in that, so I can help people to develop proposals for special interest, for special issues. But of course, we can target any other journal, even journals specializing in technologies, not only in tourism, but generic journals as well, provided we have a good and strong proposal and we are willing to open it up to other sectors and not tourism as well. Last year, as I said, we had designed this book proposal that's open on the floor as well. If people would like to develop a book proposal and submit it to a publisher, I have been quite active on developing book proposals, or I have contacts with publishers. So if anyone is interested, I'm happy to help and give advice. Usually SIGs, they do face-to-face workshops, meetings, or I don't know, discussion forums. Now, due to COVID, as you can imagine, we are still very, very limited in terms of how we can do this kind of face-to-face interactive sessions. But then we are the technology experts, you know, we should be able to use Zoom, WebEx, or I don't know, Skype, whatever people feel comfortable with, to develop a webinar. We can have webinar series if we have volunteers that they can give a speech, or they can find industry experts or other researchers that they can volunteer and give a speech or a presentation or a workshop on a topic. We can have it on an ad hoc basis whenever somebody would like to contribute or help on the organization of that, or we can even think about having a series like what the SIG has done with the ISO charts with Tamara and Anne Hardy. We could even think about doing a research workshop, which can be longer in duration. It can be a full day, it can be a half day. It will require more resources in terms of people helping in the organization to find speakers or to organize interactive sessions, but that's also an option. And then anything else that you might think it's important. We might think of developing, I don't know, a share point where we use it to share resources, papers, URLs, websites, portals that we think others might find easy. We can have an email list to circulate things, whatever you might think is appropriate. But to be honest, whatever activity we do, it heavily depends on people raising their hand and volunteering to do things. Me and Ian have been trying to do things. We have done some things, we have not done other things. But I think a SIG should be not only top to down, it should also be a bottom up approach as well. Me and Ian are very happy to help any one of you who would like to take up a project, to mentor you, to support you, to contribute to your activity and to make sure that it is delivered. So I will open the floor for discussion in terms of what you think about this. If you're interested in any activity of the ones that I list here, of any other that you think about, or just say, yes, I will be happy to help in whatever way. So please feel free to share your thoughts or your ideas on that.
Hi, Marianna, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, me again, Ming here. I just wonder, do we have a dedicated website or like a web page about all the things we're doing for these special groups?
There is a web page on Coffee website where they list all the things. We can use the Coffee communication channels, the weekly newsletters, to circulate things or to invite people to participate in whatever we do. We can use Coffee website to promote events we do. I'm not aware of anything else.
Yeah, but I was thinking of like for a lot of people, if they want to do technology, so if we can say we have a dedicated website, people can find the softwares they can use to get the data from social media, and they can know the papers you publish in specific areas that they can refer to. It's basically become a reference point. You know, everyone saying like this is a dedicated website.
Yes,
Every
yes,
single time, if I knew something about technology, I go to this website. I think
yeah.
that's something.
It's a very good point. I mean, the website can be a good way for us to share resources, but also to share them externally.
Yeah.
It can be used both ways. Uh, my thought will be, I'm not against it. My worry is who is going to maintain it, because having a website that is updated once per year, I don't think it's good. It is actually going to backfire back to us, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Technologies, that things they change every day, and if we have a website that is maintained once per year, I think it's not worthwhile doing it. It will reflect a bad image to us rather than a good one.
Yeah, I think that just may require lots of efforts to just update the website.
If there is anyone who is willing to coordinate something like this, you know, to contact people and say, please send me resources, papers, URLs that I collect, aggregate, and then I publish them somewhere, I would hesitate to do that. I would hesitate to pen and say, please give us a web page to put things there, because I will have no things to put there, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but the other thing I was thinking of for a dedicated website is that, you know, if we have all those webinars, we can just record it and then we can share, you know, on the dedicated pages. People can refer back as well. It's basically saying we can, all the activity we have done, all the resource available, we can just put it in the one place.
Well, if you don't mind, what we could do is that, and you're willing to do, you can start a blank page, add whatever resources you have, I don't know, access to portals, websites, databases, circulate it among ourselves and say, people, please help me to add resources to this, you know, file. You can start by having categories, you know, online portals, access to online videos, access to reports, you know, and people contribute to that. And then we could either ask Coffee to publish that on our SIG page on Coffee website, or we can develop, I don't know, a blog that we can use it for, exchanging, you know, the file, or we can keep it internally among us through an email list. That's it.
Okay, yeah, let me have thought of it and how much like effort required and also the logistic behind. So what kind of content? Yeah. So let me have let me finalize the idea first and then we can share with everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Aaron mentions writing and winning grants. Yes, I mean, this could be another activity of, well, I wouldn't say activity, or this is another way that the SIG can also help, you know. The SIG is also, as I said, a networking opportunity, you know, for all of us to meet each other, to learn what are the expertise or the interest of different people, who is doing what, or try to network, and then, of course, feel free to liaise directly with each other or via the SIG, you know, to develop any collaborative, you know, projects or research grant proposals. I don't know, or I haven't seen, no, there is a SIG, isn't it? It's the teaching and learning. Isn't it run by Paul? That they had the grant, isn't it? And the SIG was around that, but I may be wrong. Anyway.
I guess following up to that, Marianna, this is more related to technology and tourism type grants, not so much the teaching and learning grants, because I think the audience and the panel and the evaluation criteria is quite different.
Okay.
Marianna, it's Linda here, and I
Hello,
very
Linda.
much like, hello.
What time is at your place? Really happy to see you.
5:40, 5:40.
In the morning.
In the morning, yes, yes.
And you're up. What a privilege. Thank you.
Now, it's good to be part, a little bit of sleep, but good to be part of it. I really like the idea of having a blog. And I think with a blog, we can really exchange question and answers. And especially for writing grants, sometimes we need to find partners across the world. And that would be a way also to connect through universities, to have common projects. Maybe the European Union, for example, has some grants, and I'm looking for a partner university to apply for the grants. So having a blog, I think it would be very immediate, where we can write question, answers, points on topics, but also on grants and other things. The idea of a blog, I think it would be very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than having a website as it is with resources.
Yeah, the blog is easier to maintain as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Does anyone have any expertise on how to create a blog? Or has it done it before?
Not me, but I think, I mean, it's sad to think about again about Facebook, but even something similar or easy as Facebook. So a dedicated Facebook page would help probably. It's still a sharing point. It's still a point where we can write questions and so forth. It's immediate. It's very fast. And that would be then a starting point to have a real blog where someone is working on it. But in the meantime, even a Facebook page could help.
That's a
although
good
it's
idea.
not a blog.
I mean, it is to establish a group on Facebook and open it up or link it with others. Mm-hmm. And then on the Facebook group, everybody could simply post things there. It doesn't have to go through a person to centralize things and increase the workload of everyone. So yeah, I like this. It could be Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever platform people think is important. So yeah, thanks for that, Linda. Is anyone interested in developing I don't know, a book proposal? Maybe that's a lot, or a special issue, or to liaise with other people to investigate this idea?
Hi, Marianna, Mimi here. Sorry, me again. Hi, me again. So I was wondering, like, in terms of the special issue, for example, for GH, for general hospital tourism management, will be special issue, say, on the methodological aspect of, of analyzing, for example, social media data and interior hospitality. Would that be of interest or just too broad?
I'll give you not an answer to that, but I will say what are the criteria for selecting special issues. And they don't usually differ from the criteria that other editors use anyway. So the criteria is that you identify a topic. It is very, how would say, trendy, topical or contemporary, and it adds something new, if I can use the word new, isn't it, to the field. It is a topic that is narrow enough, but big enough, meaning that it is a topic that you can ensure the editor that you are going to have sufficient number of submissions. So if you go very narrow, what you're doing is that you eliminate the number of submissions and the target audience you're going to have. And you're also narrowing down the readers of the special issue. This is very bad from a journal point of view.
Yeah. All right, can I ask just
very broad, then it's not a special issue because it's very broad and there's no purpose of doing it. So you really need to find the fine line between being niche, but also broad enough, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And you also need to ensure that the guest editors are, of course, experts, or they are recognized on the field that you propose, and they are able to recruit submissions. So when people, they will see one or two names of guest editors, they will trust them, they will establish credibility in the special issue that this is the place where me as a researcher, I should submit my paper, a good paper, because bad papers, they can be submitted at any time, anywhere, isn't it? So the guest editors, they need to establish the credibility to potential authors and the journal editor that the special issue is going to get sufficient submissions and good quality submissions. So I don't know if this answers your question.
Yeah. So Marianna, just a follow up on that. So when you say sufficient, how did you, like, can you give a rough number? So what do you mean by sufficient?
Okay. So usually, again, journals, when they publish issues, they have a specific number allocated of papers per issue. It depends on the journal. On average, I would say an issue of a journal has about 7-8 papers. But then I've seen journals, they have 12 and 15. It depends, yeah, on the popularity or the ranking of the journal. Now, if you need this amount of accepted papers, more or less, you need to have in mind that you can triple the number of submissions, minimum. And I say minimum because it depends again, yeah? At the moment, journals, they have about 70 to 80% desk rejection rate. Usually, you don't expect the same desk rejection rate for special issues because theoretically, the guest editors are able to scrutinize and attract better quality of papers rather than, you know, all the, if I can call, stupid submissions coming from anyone globally, if you see what I mean.
Yes, yes.
So yes, it depends on the journal.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so for general hospital tourism management, if we have an idea, should we just send an idea to you first, or just we write a short proposal first? For general speaking, yeah.
Generally speaking, again, the best way to proceed if you want to do a special issue is to first contact the editor and say, you know, I'm interested in developing a special issue. First of all, do you do special issues? Are you interested on that field? Is there a specific form? Because some journals, they have a specific form that you need to fill in to submit a proposal for a special issue. If there is a form, can you please send it to me? And you can ask the editor as well. I mean, you know, editors are always happy to help. What are the criteria, or what are you looking for special issues? So I can develop something that it's good for you, you know? So I would urge people that they want to do a special issue before they develop something. I mean, you can have a general idea, isn't it? I mean, a description of a special issue in one page, but not a concrete one, just a general description that you can use to send to a journal editor as a first touch and ask, is there a form? What would you like? You know, and blah, blah, blah. But I wouldn't encourage anyone to develop a detailed, specific proposal for a special issue without knowing what is the journal and before contacting the editor to seek if the editor and the journal is interested on that. Otherwise, it's a waste of time.
Sure. Thanks, Marianna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know these are more general things, but I hope they are useful in general for other people. And as I said, I'm happy to share any experience or any knowledge on any field that I can help. Anything else that somebody would like to contribute? Does anyone have any project currently on technologies that he or she is seeking help or is looking for any kind of resource that we as SIG can help?
Well, I might talk again, Marianna, it's Linda again. There should be also another person here with me, but she's not here. She's my PhD student. And she's doing a PhD on memorable experiences in IoT. It started before COVID. And we think now it's even more important to understand the role of IoT in creating memorable experiences. In specific, also the service encounter, the human part of, or the human interaction between hosts and guests in a time of COVID and beyond, and in the look for not creating an experience which is too detached from persons, because at the end, tourism is human interaction and tourists are looking for human interaction. The question mark is, after all of this experience, we're getting used to use technology, but how much do we really want to go back also to their normal life of meeting people and talking to people rather than talking to a computer and so forth. We don't know if we're on the right track. There are a lot of things to work on. We're also working on sensory stimuli. We wanted to do with sensory stimuli also experiments, which is not possible at the moment because hotels are closed. We don't know when they're going to open again. But any feedback, I mean, if there is like a Facebook rec rating or a blog rec rating, any feedback on that topic would be really helpful to understand where we can take it from there, where we can go, if we are on the right track or not. I think that would be very important to hear colleagues' point of view of where we can take our research further, especially for a PhD student that is then entering, hopefully, the academia market very soon.
Yeah. Just thinking loud, I have just discovered a website, but I haven't really looked at it very carefully. There is, and I need to look at my files and to give you much more precise information. Okay, it's called Mind and Machines. I'll try to copy paste the link on the chat facility so you can see it and everybody can see it. That they have started publishing and doing different workshops online about the impact of technologies on human behavior, psychology, and yeah, anything related to consumer behavior, which has very good resources. So here it is, psychology and technology. I have watched a couple of their webinars. They're really very interesting and insightful with top leaders on our field. But yeah, if I hear or if I do anything, I will keep you updated, because particularly I would say AI and human mind is an area that I definitely want to go deeper, and I'm reading quite a lot at the moment about this.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm already on the web page. Thank you so much, Marianna.
Yeah, no worries. I see we only have 5 minutes left, so I would like to try to summarize before the Zoom close down, because it will do it automatically and we might be in the middle of discussing anything. What I will ask forum group to do is to send me a list of participants of the SIG group with your emails. So I will circulate you around this PowerPoint with the topics I have included, and I will try to see how we can hopefully establish this Facebook group where we can start sharing resources. And then, yeah, feel free to use this email that I will circulate to everyone to liaise among you, or try to pick up any of the topics, issues, and of course, always come back to me, as I said, should you have the time and the willingness to volunteer and deliver any activity, a webinar, a special issue, a workshop, whatever you think it's useful for you and for the group to progress. And I'm always happy to assist. So, anything else before we close? I see no reaction. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for your participation. I hope the SIG has inspired you or activated you to different issues. And let's hope we can be more active 2021. I wish you all the best, and stay safe, first of all. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, Marianna. Bye.
Thank you,
and
Linda.
hopefully see you soon in Europe.
Oh, I hope. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.